Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our webcast today, Pleasant Holidays in the Hawaiian Islands. My name's Brian Murray, the Director of Travel here at AAA, and I'm delighted you're spending some time with us. You know, this COVID-19 pandemic has hit the world so hard, and one of those areas is travel. There's been many disappointed travelers whose spring and summer vacations have been canceled and postponed, but we're resilient and we'll get through this pause. What we want to do today is share some great information about travel. And while we're all not just ready yet, we want to help you dream about the next vacation and inspire you to think about all the possibilities. I do want to share that you're all in listen only mode. However, if you do have any questions, please feel free to type questions in the question box and we'll entertain those at the end of the program. If we don't get to your question, don't worry, we'll reach out to you personally and address those questions. I also want to offer to all the participants today in the webcast, in addition to all the promotions that we have with our partner Pleasant Holidays right now, we're offering an additional $100 savings per booking on any new booking made by July 15th. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Stephen Perry, Sales Travel Specialist with Pleasant Holidays, who is going to inspire us all about the Hawaiian Islands. Stephen, thanks so much for being with us today.
All right, thank you very much, Brian, and thank you everybody else for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm passionate about travel, especially Hawaii, so it's great to be able to speak about Hawaii today. And if you're all like me, which you probably are at this point, you're pretty ready to get out and at least start thinking and dreaming and planning a vacation. I know I need a vacation, and as soon as I can, I will be on one. So any questions you have, please feel free to type those in. I love questions, don't hold back. Anything you want to know, I'm very familiar with Hawaii. I've been there many times, so look forward to answering any of those. So my presentation today is on Hawaii, of course. I'll tell you a little bit about who the heck is Pleasant Holidays, right? So I'll cover that first, and then some good deals going on. And then I'll get into each one of the islands and actually break it down for you, what makes them unique, which traveler is ideal for each island, as well as highlights of just some of the hotels. We have way too many hotel partners that we work with there to cover them all. So I'm just gonna highlight about 3 or 4 per island that maybe are slightly unique or great pricing, that sort of thing that I think you'd all like to hear about. And I'll also talk about some things to do on each of the islands. So Pleasant Holidays is actually part of AAA. So that's why we work with AAA regularly. And we provide everything working with your AAA travel agent or travel advisor, and put everything that you're looking for in your vacation together in one convenient place. So for Hawaii, we actually have 6 islands that we work with. Those are the main Hawaiian islands, which I'll go over that you're familiar with. Hawaii has over 100 islands actually, but the majority are not open to travelers. Within Hawaii, we work with 193 hotel partners. I know that doesn't, blow your mind by any means, so no worries. But there's some exclusive promotions at a handful of these hotels that I'm going to cover for you in a minute, which are outstanding. And then there's over 900 different activities you can do there. It's not just luau's and hula, surfing, volcano tours, that sort of thing. There's so many different tours and things to do and see that I'm going to highlight, including different self-drive options that you can just drive a rental car around and do, for free on your own, and that are definitely must stops. So I'll cover a lot of those. Those hotels that I was referring to that have amazing promotions, these are Grand Wailea, Sheraton Maui Resort, Moana Surfrider, and the Kauai Marriott. So those resorts, you can get over 50% off. It's guaranteed to be the best rate when you go through your AAA travel advisor. Even if you were to try to go directly, it's going to be less expensive, I promise you, with your AAA travel advisors. So great resorts you should definitely look into. Now, focusing back on Hawaii as a destination, weather is something that's very important. It may influence when you decide to travel. Now, fortunately, Hawaii is is pretty great year round, especially in, my opinion. I live in Arizona though, so it's not necessarily great year round. Summer for Hawaii is May through October, where the average temperature is about 85 degrees. That's not bad. And keep in mind, the islands always have that island breeze. So 85 is pretty perfect. Winter's going to be November through April, 78 degrees. Again, pretty darn perfect. By the way, that's when you want to go if you want to go whale watching. Wintertime, November through April there. It's really November through March. That's going to be the best time to see whales, so highly recommend it. Now, in general for Hawaii, the west side of each island is going to be considered drier, less rain. These are tropical islands, so rain is pretty common. However, I have never seen it rain for an extended period of time, all of the times that I've been to Hawaii. The east side of the islands are generally going to be considered wetter with more rain. So keep that in mind as we go through these. You'll notice that most of the main hotel areas tend to be on the west side of the islands. So I want to start talking about Oahu. This is really a must-see, especially if it's your first time to Hawaii. This is famous Waikiki Beach. You are actually looking at it in the image right now. You have some historical hotels there, like the Royal Hawaiian or the Pink Palace. It's pretty obvious which one that is. Next to that, you have the Moana Surfrider. So very historic town, or hotels on a historic beach. Also in Oahu, you have sites like Pearl Harbor. Obviously a must-see at least one time to see Pearl Harbor, USS Arizona Memorial, as well as other sites, Punchbowl Crater, that sort of thing. So lots of history for Oahu, and Oahu actually houses the capital of Hawaii, which is Honolulu. So this is a map of the island. You can see where Waikiki is, just basically south of Honolulu there. That's the main resort area. So it's very close to the airport. It's very close to Pearl Harbor. So you could easily take day trips to Pearl Harbor. Polynesian cultural centers to the north. That's something I highly recommend to learn about the Hawaiian culture. When you think of the Hawaiian culture, a lot of people think of, hula dancing and fire dancing. Fire dancing is actually not Hawaiian. So you can see a lot of fire dancing at luau's in Hawaii because they focus on Polynesia, or French Polynesia, including South Pacific, Tahiti, even New Zealand. So it combines a lot of the different Polynesian culture, and you're going to experience all of those at the Polynesian Cultural Center. Diamond Head is a mountain I'll show you actually in a photo right here, which just makes great views. This is Waikiki Beach in that top photo. This is the other view. The previous view I showed was basically taken from Diamond Head. This is facing Diamond Head. This specific photo was taken at the Sheraton Waikiki, which I highly recommend. That's honestly the view. And it's a great photo opportunity. Now, I've talked a lot about Oahu, though. You can learn more about, Oahu right here. Some other things that stand out, though, obviously beaches. North Shore is big wave surfing. So I don't recommend we all go out and try to surf in North Shore unless you're a professional, but it makes great sightseeing. And North Shore really is just, most of North Shore is really just like a surf town. So I actually had one of the best burritos in my life on Oahu in North Shore, and I'm from originally California and live in Arizona. So big Mexican influence in California and Arizona, and one of the best burritos I've had was in Hawaii, go figure. So lots of food throughout the surfing towns there, and then some great beaches and surfing to watch. As far as hotels though, we work with over actually 68 hotels just in Oahu. So you have endless opportunities that you can work with your AAA travel advisor to help narrow down and put you in the perfect hotel based on your budget, location, amenities, because there's everything here. If you want a hotel that caters to families, you can do that. If you want a hotel that caters to adults, that's definitely an option. If you want to be able to walk everywhere, then there's certain hotels you want to look at. Or if you want to be, secluded away from everything, there's options for that. So I definitely recommend working with your AAA travel advisor to help narrow it down. Some of the ones that stand out to me personally, of course, the Aulani Disney Resort. This is basically Disney in Hawaii. There's not, roller coasters, but you do have the Disney costumes and characters there. Great water parks and pools. They have snorkeling within the resorts. They have a lot of different adventure like maps, almost like pirate theme or treasure maps, and pretty unique. When I was there, I was just noticing, I was on a tour and I noticed something kind of unique, and I was like, hey, what's this? And the person who was giving me the tour from Aulani was like, oh, you notice that we have random hidden clues that are not published in their daily adventure guide that you can find that starts a treasure hunt or some sort of hunt. So endless activities. There's no way anybody's going to be bored at Aulani. Of course, it's great for children and families. I don't think that even needs to be said. Now, totally opposite from Aulani, you have the Turtle Bay Resort. So by the way, these photos go in order that I'm speaking about. So Aulani is the top right, Turtle Bay's right there in the middle on the right. Turtle Bay's in North Shore. There's not a lot of hotels in the northern part of Oahu, so you definitely feel more of that private feel. It feels similar to a private beach just for your resort. It's not technically private, but it has that private feel. It's also a golf resort. So any of you that are golfers, I highly recommend Turtle Bay Resort. I'm a big golfer. Trust me, Turtle Bay's the place to be. Sheraton Waikiki, I mentioned that it has great views of Diamond Head. I put a different view. This is the view that you can see on the bottom right. So a lot of these rooms still have a view of Diamond Head, but these specific units are even more sought after because it has just a full ocean front view. So it's kind of nice to be able to combine that mountain view with that ocean front view. Now, one of the cool things that's great about both the Sheraton Waikiki as well as the Royal Hawaiian is they are right in the heart of Waikiki. So the big draw to Waikiki is Waikiki Beach. Also just location close to everything. You have a lot of shops. It's really that town feel. So Oahu in general is a town and country feel. The town portion is Waikiki, where you have big buildings, hotels, endless restaurants to choose from, shopping, including high end. It's almost like you're on Rodeo Drive in Oahu in Paradise. So lots of shopping, dining, nightlife, that sort of thing. Breweries, cuisine from all over the world. Sheraton and the Royal Hawaiian, that fourth property I want to talk about, they're next door to each other. And right behind those properties, there's actually a shopping mall, a small mall that has a food court, which if you're looking to save a little bit of money, Waikiki is going to be really the most expensive place in Hawaii. So keep that in mind. But being able to save a little bit of money and go to the food court is definitely something that I recommend if that's what you're looking for. Also, the main street in Waikiki is beachfront. Every street you go back from that, the price drops considerably. So you may go to dinner, like a Ruth's Chris is there. That's one of the upscale restaurants in the area, as well as local Hawaiian restaurants. But then 2 streets back, I found an amazing udon noodle Japanese restaurant that was $3 for a big bowl of noodles. So lots of options, keep that in mind. Also recommend for Oahu, the ABC stores there. They're all over the place. It's a local store where you have great prices for swimsuits, board shorts, t-shirts, different knickknacks to bring as gifts to your friends and family. You can also get food, beverages, including alcoholic beverages, which is definitely a way to save money if you want to have a bottle of wine or a beer. Moving over to Maui. So overall, Maui is the most popular island for us. And the reason why is it's oftentimes combined with Oahu, which is a must-see, especially for first-timers, and it's the most revisited island. Maui has kind of everything. It's not that big, town feel that Waikiki has specifically, but it is popular for everybody, whether it be honeymooners, you know, romance focus, retirees, adventure travel, families, you name it. It has everything and makes it really easy. It's also just extremely easy to drive around. Oahu, you typically take transfers to get to your hotel if you're in Waikiki, and then you could just walk everywhere. It's all really small. Maui, you definitely want a rental car. So the map of Maui is here. You fly into the main airport is Kahului. So that's the main airport there right in the middle. Now, the majority of hotels, though, are going to be on the western side. So Ka'anapali and Lahaina are very famous beach areas and resort areas. And then the Kihei, Wailea, Makena area, that's a little bit slower, in my opinion, than Ka'anapali. It also houses a lot of the 5-star or luxury resorts. Both areas, beaches are outstanding. They both have 5-star luxury resorts. They both have moderate properties. It's really just, you know, Lahaina, Ka'anapali's a little busier, and Waialea's more for that relaxation or romance, in my opinion. Kapalua to the very north is definitely going to be romance. A lot of weddings there. You have Ritz-Carlton there, so you do have a range of properties, but it's going to be even slower than Wailea. And then the weather tends to rain a little bit more in Kapalua than other areas. Hana is on the eastern side, so that's really authentic. So if you really want that authentic Maui feel, Hana's where you're going to want to be. One of the free activities I highly recommend doing if you have not is the Road to Hana. It starts, you can get up early though, trust me. I left at 5 a.m. from Ka'anapali when I took my kids there just last year. And we did the Road to Hana and it was great. Very little traffic. There's lots of places to stop along the road. It's a day trip. It'll take you all day. Stop along the road and see hidden waterfalls, hiking experiences. There's actually one of the first waterfalls there is pretty famous because it has a big swimming pool in front of it. And it's like the first one, so it gets packed. Nobody was there when I went. I have photos just with my family in it. Pretty excellent, so highly recommend. Wake up early, grab a sandwich, take the drive. There is actually some newer places to stop along the way to get food. And, you know, years ago, if you didn't take food, you're going to be starving. So now there are some areas that you can go that have food. Sorry, I could talk about Hawaii all day long, so I have to pick it up a little bit here. So I already mentioned Maui, great for everybody. Lots of beaches here. You know, some of the islands, beaches are not quite as popular or common rather. Maui, very common. You have great beaches throughout the island. Black sand beaches as well, so lots to do and see there. Great for whale watching as well as any kind of water activity. 58 different resorts that we work with on Maui. Some that I want to recommend. Na Pali Kai is one of the most revisited resorts that we work with. It's a little bit more unique. It's north of Ka'anapali, closer to Kapalua. But what makes it stand out is it does have an authentic or traditional Hawaiian feel, though it's pretty upscale. And then the beach also feels private. So a lot of the resorts now, you know, they're new and they make it Hawaiian, but it doesn't quite have that traditional Hawaii feel that maybe you've seen in, you know, some movies of the past. Na Pali Kai definitely has that, and people love it, and they go over and over every single year. Now on the flip side, one of the newer places is the Westin Nanea Ocean Villas. So a huge cost saver that I highly recommend is by booking a condo or a villa. It's just like a resort. It's not like what you would picture in other destinations. Most of these have full resort amenities. I'll give you an example. That Westin has multiple pools, children's pool, adult pools. It has multiple restaurants, daily housekeeping, everything you would expect, including concierge service, even from a full service resort. But you have villas of multiple bedrooms with complete kitchens. It's down the road from a Safeway grocery store, so you can stock up your fridge if you want to use the barbecues on site, make a meal yourself, or use your kitchen. Or if you're like me and just want to stock some cereal for the kids, maybe grandkids, some drinks, so that you don't have to, spend as much money maybe at the resort. But they do have many bar options as well. So it's just a great way to have that multi room experience and have that complete kitchen. The Sheraton Maui is going to be one of the most famous resorts there, and the reason why is you can actually see it in the bottom there. That's black rock that sticks out there. So Sheraton has a lot of complimentary entertainments, including the nightly torch lighting, where they have a man run throughout the property and light all the torches, including out onto Black Rock and then cliff dive into the ocean. Pretty outstanding. They do have their own luau's on property. And then right there next to Black Rock, that beach area there is actually some of the best snorkeling in Maui. So you can either rent scuba gear or just go to that ABC store and get a scuba mask and or a snorkel mask rather, and snorkel for $10, and then just have a good time snorkeling right outside there. And then one of my favorite hotels is the Fairmont Kealani. This is a luxury 5-star resort. They have suites and villas, great for romance and foodies. Kauai is my favorite island, and if you haven't been to Hawaii and you're picturing Hawaii, this is probably what you're picturing. This has a lot of cliffs and mountains. It's very lush and green. It does get more rain than the other islands. This is the island where like Jurassic Park gets filmed at, things like that. MASH had some filming here in Kauai. So that's really what you probably picture when you think of Hawaii. It's a little bit smaller island. You fly into Lihue airports. The main resort area is going to be Poipu to the south. That's going to be the better beach area, best weather. You have nice range of, budget, moderate, luxury properties there. And then Princeville to the north, pretty much expect a little bit of rain, maybe 15 minutes of rain every single day. But this is a luxury area that I highly recommend for romance, seclusion, that sort of thing. I don't recommend driving up there in your convertible with the top down. You may have heard people say that before. You can expect some rain every day, but it is beautiful. Now, Kauai is ideal for adventure seekers as well as that romance I was talking about. There is things like ATV tours here, zip lining. What else? You have one of the most dangerous backpacking trails in the entire world is there. Endless options of things to do. River tubing, which is a blast. So great for adventure, great for romance. However, if you go to the Poipu area, you do have some great family resorts and swimmable beaches. So out of the 28 hotels and resorts that we represent, I wanted to highlight the Grand Hyatt Resort and Spa. That is a 5-star resort. It is outstanding. I've stayed there, absolutely love it. One of the unique things about it is in Poipu, and it's on basically 2 beaches. One of them is a surfing beach, and the other is a swimmable beach, which is great because not all of the beaches in Kauai are swimmable. The Kauai Marriott has a swimmable beach, as you can see. It also has the largest pool in Kauai. Now, what makes this really unique is it's not in Poipu, it's actually near the airport. So why that's nice is you're kind of close to everything. You can go travel to Poipu, you can also go to Princeville, you can do all the different activities. So for the adventure seekers, this is a great location because you can get everywhere. You can also go into town. There is a town there, and it has some restaurants and shopping. That's really not what Kauai is known for, but there is a town and you can easily access it from the Kauai Marriott. And then lastly, the Princeville Resort, ultimate luxury, romance focused in the northern part of the island. Also a golf resort with some killer golf. All right, so the big island of Hawaii, I always get a lot of questions about this. So when you think of volcanoes, all of these are volcanic islands. However, the world's most active volcano is on the big island of Hawaii. I don't want that to scare you. Think about a volcano similar to like a pressure cooker, right? Pressure can only build so much before steam has to come out. Well, the big island of Hawaii, the most active volcano, is constantly erupting. It's been erupting, I believe, since 1985, steadily. It's not damaging towns or anything like that so much. It makes great activities or adventure travel for guests who go and see it. You can actually do helicopter tours. You can go to, Volcano National Park there and learn about volcanoes. Don't need to fear it. It's okay. Was it a year ago? 2 years ago now. It was erupting more than normal. So that was in the news. You may have seen it. When you're at the resort area, you couldn't even see the volcano. You have no idea. It's not like it was a big ash eruption that we, have seen in movies and stuff. So hopefully that makes sense to you and it's not scary at all, because you shouldn't be. It's a pretty awesome once in a lifetime experience to be able to go and see it. Now, this is the big island of Hawaii. It's a big island. It will take you a while to drive around. I do recommend rental cars here as well as Maui and Kauai. The main resort area is going to be on the west side, like the Waikoloa area, the Kahala coast. Hilo does have some properties there to stay at. That's really where you would want to go if you want to go see the volcano or Hawaii Volcanoes National Park without taking a long day trip. The main airport you would fly into, though, is that Kona airport there on the west coast. So lots of typical Hawaiian, like you can see in the bottom photo there, kind of get that island vibe, the tiki vibe, volcano god kind of vibe. This is a great island for you for adventure. It's also great for repeat guests who have been to the other islands. I don't want, I don't normally want to recommend this be your first island to go to, because it might scare you when you're going into the airport and you look out of your airplane and you see just a bunch of black rock. A lot of the island is that. There is a lot of green, you can see in that top photo there, and some great beaches as well, including black and red sand beaches. But it's not that lush green that you'd be picturing with Kauai. So keep that in mind. However, so much to do. Really one of the tallest waterfalls you can really see. You have the White Mountain there, which is Mauna Kea. You can do basically all different kinds of activities. Sorry guys, I'm running out of time here. Got to keep going. 28 different hotels there. Four Seasons Resort for those luxury travelers. If you're used to Four Seasons, the Four Seasons Resort Hualalai is often considered the best Four Seasons in the entire world. So amazing property, amazing level of service. You have some great views outside of your room. That's the top photo there. Mount Aulani Point, I put this on here because it's that villa style with the fully equipped kitchen. The location's closer to the airport, so it's convenient, which also means more grocery stores nearby. So you can, save a lot of money doing that way, have multiple rooms. The Royal Sea Cliff Kona by Outrigger, this is another condo. It's a more budget level property, but everybody loves it who goes. You can see that photo on the bottom right. It's got that more traditional Hawaiian feel to it, so you actually feel like you're in Hawaii, unlike some other newer properties, which is great in a really cool location. And then the Fairmont Orchid Hawaii, this is another luxury resort with a killer beach, as you can see. Again, that's not as common for the Big Island. Most of the beaches are not swimmable, so that's a really outstanding beach there at the Fairmont Orchid. I have two other islands that are smaller to cover, and then I'll be wrapping it up here. So Molokai, highly recommend if you've already experienced the other islands. There is lots of history in Molokai. It is definitely authentic Hawaiian. It's the birthplace of hula. So if you want to learn about hula, there's no better place to go than Molokai. You cannot fly directly into Molokai. You will need to take an inner island flight. So I really recommend combining it with another destination like Kauai, for example. It's only 38 miles and 10 miles wide. So really easy to get around. You're not going to get lost. There's no skyscrapers here, no buildings taller really than the tallest coconut tree. But for those of you who want adventure, who want history, this is a perfect island, or just relaxation like a local. The majority of people on the island of Molokai live on Molokai. There's a little bit of tourism, but those that are born on Molokai tend to stay on Molokai too. So it's really going to be the most authentic island out there. The two hotels that we work with there is the Hotel Molokai. That is an oceanfront property, as you can see in the top two photos there. And it is very Hawaiian in look and feel. You feel like you are Hawaiian when you're there. The Castle Molokai shores, very similar, authentic Hawaiian. You feel like you're Hawaiian when you're there. Those are the bottom two photos. And it has a full kitchen, which is, as we've talked about, very nice to be able to do. Make a sandwich in your kitchen, go down to one of the picnic tables and relax, or use the barbecue. Lastly is Lanai. So luxury experience with Hawaii travelers, this is where you want to go. You have a very small island that is all focused on luxury and seclusion. 13 miles wide by 18 miles long, that's the size of the island. But there is endless activities to do here. You have skeet shooting, you have horseback riding, you have all different kinds of water sports, whale watching, deep sea fishing, you name it, boating, anything, plenty to do there. You're not going to be bored here. There's some amazing spas at the resorts. And then, of course, golf. It's actually one of the best places in the world to play golf. The hotel there is going to be the Four Seasons Resort Lanai. Beautiful resort, all Four Seasons, so you have that ultimate 5-star luxury experience there. Then we do have private resort residences and villas. I wanted to make sure you're aware of these. And we do offer these within Hawaii. So private resort residences is basically a private home that's located within resort grounds. The benefit of this means you can use all of the amenities at the resort, but you have the seclusion and privacy of a private house. That's great for those of you who just want to be on your own and not be bothered, or around other people, have basically your own beach type feel, or for things like family reunions, maybe, multi-generations in a family are going. That's a perfect opportunity for you. And normally it's a cost savings because you need multiple rooms in that kind of situation, and this way you can all be located together. The other option that we have in Hawaii is the private retreats and vacation rentals. You do not need to go through Airbnb, just go to your AAA travel advisor and we can help you out with vacation rentals there for that ultimate private home experience, not located on resort grounds. So it's for those of you who really want to get into Hawaii and relax in what feels like your own home. And then lastly, we have cancel for any reason protection plans that your AAA travel advisor will likely highly recommend for you. Especially during these times with COVID, it's good to be protected for the full value of your trip. Even if something comes up again with COVID and you need to cancel, with the voucher or future travel credit, you have everything that would be considered non-refundable, like published airfare kind of. Work with your AAA travel advisor and they'll explain that to you better, but it's making sure you're covered. The cashback option, you get everything back other than the cost of the cancel for any reason plan, of course. If, God forbid, anything else with COVID happens, closures, that sort of thing, you're protected and you don't need to worry about losing any of the value of your trip there. So that's all I had. I powered through that as quickly as possible. Appreciate your patience. Hopefully you learned a little bit. Hopefully there's some questions for me.
Stephen, thanks. What a great job. And when you were talking about the road to Hana, I remember I did the road to Hana, which was a great excursion. But on that same day, we got up early to see the sunrise at Mount Haleakala. So as you can imagine, you said Hana was a full day excursion. Get up at 2 a.m. to see the sunrise, and it's truly a 24-hour excursion practically. So it was one of my favorite islands, but a great spot to go to. So there is a question. You talked a little bit about cars, and I know the island of Hawaii, the big island there, you recommended a car. In Honolulu, kind of city-like, do you recommend a car in Honolulu or public transportation enough? What are your thoughts there?
That's a really good question, and there's a lot I can think about that I left out. So apologize for that, trying to fit what we could in. So Honolulu, there's not a lot of hotels specifically in Honolulu, being the downtown area, but Waikiki is right next to it. So most likely you would be staying in Waikiki. Even if you're in Honolulu, it's very similar to the feel of Waikiki. You don't necessarily need a car there, especially for the full time or the full duration. I recommend exploring and going to North Shore, but the majority of the resorts, parking is going to be hard. So there would be a premium for parking at most all Waikiki, Honolulu style resorts. So keep that in mind. And there's so much to do in walking distance. What I personally do and what I recommend is I book my, hotel in Waikiki. I do most of the walking around, but I rent a car. There's actually a Hertz rental at the Hyatt Regency there, which is walking distance from any resort there in Waikiki, and just rent it for a day. So I do a 1-day rental. I pick it up in the morning. I explore. I went around trying to find off the beaten path hiking, which I found a lot of, by the way. I really toured the entire island of Oahu, went to North Shore, enjoyed some meals, and then dropped the car back off at the end of the day. And it was perfect because I was able to explore and do everything that I wanted. Other words, if you're just traveling within the area, either by foot or there's shuttles that are going around constantly. Most of the hotels have their own shuttles. Other words, there are like Aloha shuttles there that will take you throughout the Waikiki and Honolulu area.
Great, thank you. And that's a great idea for kind of the day rental to go up and do your exploring on 1 day. So thank you for that. Another question. Do the condo style accommodations in resorts all have ADA accessible accommodations, or is it the traditional hotel style hotels that just have ADA accessible accommodations?
So another good question. Not every condo style property would have ADA rooms, but one of the beautiful things about Hawaii, it's part of the US. ADA rooms are extremely sought after. So I can honestly say the majority do. What you would want to do is work with your AAA travel advisor. I'm sure they probably already know off the top of their head many that are ADA. Other words, we also have lists of all of the properties that have 88 rooms, how many they have, and when you're ready to pick a property, we can just call and make sure it's available and reserve it for you.
Perfect, thank you on that. And this last question is kind of subjective, but I'll ask it, and that is for a first timer to go to Hawaii, knowing that coming from the East Coast, it's a little bit longer journey than from the West Coast. What's your suggestion of how many nights to spend on kind of the main Maui and Honolulu and Kauai? How would you break a stay up?
So there's multiple ways to do that. What I think is the most common is if you're talking one island, like Maui, go for a week. That's pretty standard. That's going to be the most popular booked option for one island. You can definitely do multiple islands, combine Oahu and Maui, for example, is one of the most common. I would say 10 to 12 days would be ideal for that, but you can still do it in a week. I don't like really long flights myself. I'm 6'5" though, and that's probably why. So I actually like the idea, if I were coming from the East Coast, to even do a stopover maybe in California or something, or Seattle, something along those lines, for a night or two exploring there and then going to Hawaii. But that's me personally, and I've been to Hawaii a lot. So I can imagine if it's your first time to Hawaii or you don't get to Hawaii a lot, you're probably going to want to spend all the time in Hawaii. So that's going to be the most common. Do 7 days on one island, or 10 to 12 days if you want to split it up and do multiple. I have seen it pretty common though, where travelers will just have one night in Oahu or 2 nights. I really recommend 2 to 3 nights in Oahu, and then doing 4 or 5 on Maui is pretty popular.
Thank you. And a follow-up, this kind of goes in the same vein, but looking at a 4-island stay, how long would you suggest if you wanted to include a 4-island stay? Again, probably a little bit subjective, but you have some great information and you've been there so many times, so looking for a thought.
No problem. You can split it up and do 3 nights on each of the islands if you'd like. That's a good amount of time. I think three nights is a good amount of time to be able to explore the islands if that's what you want to see. But it matters again on your situation, how much time you have. If you have 30 days to spend, then different story. In general, the least amount of time is spent in Oahu. You can definitely see things there pretty quickly, experience Pearl Harbor, Waikiki. So again, 2 to 3 nights is pretty common. So you could do 2 nights there. Maui tends to be the longest staying island because there's so much to see and do. So that tends to be where people spend the majority of their time. But if something really excites you, like Volcanoes, Volcano National Park, the big island of Hawaii could take more time. Or if you're going for mostly romance, then I would spend most of your time in Kauai. So again, that's one of those things where there would be a lot of qualifying questions I would want to ask to see exactly what you want to do and be able to make recommendations. So what I would do in that case is work with your AAA travel advisor, who will do the exact same thing and make the recommendations for you.
Yeah, and then that's you answered that pretty well, and well, not pretty well, very well. And we do, from the East Coast, our typical vacationers will spend 10 to 14 days in Hawaii, and again, depending on what's on their bucket list of their experiences, we kind of map out the stays on each island. So great information, great photos and insight into Hawaii. I thank you so much, Stephen, and I thank all our participants in the webinar this afternoon. As a reminder, we are offering $100 savings on new bookings through the 15th of July. In addition, with Pleasant Holidays and exclusive AAA member benefit for a minimum of a 5-night stay is a $100 per booking activity voucher. And what that is good for is sightseeing or activities during your vacation at the destination. So our travel consultants, most have been to Hawaii. They're very familiar with the policies of Pleasant Holidays and all the offerings. So we'd love to help make that Hawaiian vacation dream come true. Feel free to stop in. As of tomorrow, all of our locations will be open for members to come in. Masks are required, social distancing in place, but we're very excited to have everyone be able to come in our office. There is limited staff, but we'd love to see you. And again, thank you all. Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate it. And I wish everyone a great afternoon.
Thank you.